Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Koski of Fun Day back at it once again, kicking in for you and for yours. And you know, we up here dropping real knowledge, real science. It's just what we always do about African history. And this one is about African history in the United States. And this is a group called D.R.U.M. You know, D is which is an acronym. You know what I'm saying? We're going into the acronym a little bit later. And this is one of the papers called the South End. You know, as it says right here, one class conscious worker is worth 100 students. This is volume 27, number 262, Wayne State University. This came out Thursday, January 23rd, 1969. Now, the group D.R.U.M, the acronym meaning Dodge Revolutionary Union Movement, really doesn't get much play or is not really well known because it's not really well talked about. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to give this group some light and credit. You know, a group of, like I said, one conscious class workers worth 100 students. And we're going to get into this history of it. You know, there's going to be a series about the history of D.R.U.M, you know, and about the things they done and how come they got a limited scope in history. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we get through the history and stuff like that. But I said before, this that paper called The South End. And let's just get into it. This is by Luke Tripp, the feature editor of The South End. History. D.R.U.M scope is not limited to the present situation at Chrysler, nor all the rest of the plants for that matter. Most of the organized activity will be at the plants. D.R.U.M sees his long-range goal as a complete and total transformation of society. This necessarily will take back the efforts of the whole Black community as well as other progressive sectors of society. In order to gain support for the Black workers from the Black community at large, D.R.U.M establishes ties with more radical sections of the Black clergy. They help by putting us in contact with people who could aid D.R.U.M in some way and also publicizing their support for D.R.U.M programs. Several weeks after D.R.U.M shut down Dodge, Maine this summer, both UAW and Chrysler were still reacting to D.R.U.M actions. Both of these racist institutions got into the act of confusing the public. The UAW tried to shift its attention away from itself onto Chrysler. Chrysler did likewise. August 20th, 1968, a story appeared in the Michigan Chronicles, a Negro newspaper, about the Black worker struggle. A UAW official was quoted as saying D.R.U.M main thrust towards the company and not the UAW. Over the weekend of August 16th through the 19th, there have been several stories in the news and the free press which depicted D.R.U.M as a group of flaming Black nationalists, who were trying to pit Black workers against white workers. On the question of pitting Black workers, here's D.R.U.M answer, which appeared in the 13th edition of their newsletter. In the recent letter put out by UAW, they accused D.R.U.M of pitting Black workers against white. The purpose of D.R.U.M is to unite Black workers to fight the problems that the Black workers face, and that problem is racism. Now, the white workers are not victims of any racism. If anything, they benefit from it. How do they benefit? It starts in the employment office. The white workers are usually sent to what is considered the easy areas. Now, if one should happen to be unfortunate enough to get sent to the body shop, then the foreman will give him the easiest job he can find, even if it means moving a Black worker. When it comes to disciplinary action against workers, you will find that the white workers are given all the breaks. Also, when it comes to advancement, the Black workers are given all kinds of reasons why it's not qualified for their job, while the white worker, qualified or not, will get it. Now, according to the UAW, pitting Black workers against white workers make a weak union. Either the UAW is too weak to fight racism, or it condones racism, for it is a fact that racism runs rampant through the auto industry. The pitting of Black workers against white starts with the power structure, for it's the power structure that controls the jobs. And the jobs you get is based on your skin color, not your background. If you are white and you are in, if you're a Black, you want to get in, you must first show your manhood, because they do not want Black men. They only want Black boys. So who is pitting Black against white? To show what a sham the UAW support for black people is, D.R.U.M point out these facts. Black workers pay millions of dollars to UAW, headed by Walter Reuther, the most convincing solo artist in the labor movement. He managed to pop up at the head of practically every grandiose civil rights drive time demonstration. D.R.U.M protests against racism practiced both the UAW and the company was as moral and as legal as any demonstration in the history of the black man's struggle. History in every phase of the struggle, from its sit-ins to the March on Washington, Walter Reuther and our dudes were there. Further, in Memphis, after Dr. King's assassination, Walter Reuther and black workers' dudes were there. Now, the first time black workers held a non-paying real protest and demonstration, we find no Reuther and no dudes to support our cause. It is obvious to the world that D.R.U.M struggle is just the entire so-called black leadership of the community stated loud and clear that D.R.U.M was right. Black ministers and organizations said they were in full support. But what did Roger, the great white father, do? He denounced D.R.U.M, his cronies, George Merrill, and a host of other bureaucratic flunkies made an outlandish claim that racism doesn't exist at the Hamtramck Assembly or Local Number 3. George Merrill is the Regional 1 director. He earns $50,000 a year and manages the affairs of the workers in the Big Three. His area is reported to be 70% black, and so large that it's broken down into areas: Region 1A, Region 1B, Region 1C, Region 1D, and Region 1E. Out of these subdivisions, 1A and 1B are the main concern of D.R.U.M. 1A is the east side of Detroit, and 1B is the west side. It should be noted that the regions are 62% black, and before the protest, both sub-directors were white, and the staff, 14 each, were 97% white. Malcolm X stated once that we black people should check our ranks during a demonstration. D.R.U.M said our enemy has been in our ranks through our struggle for freedom. The UAW has stolen from its members too long. It was said to D.R.U.M that the UAW broke the ice with a black man in the 1940s. D.R.U.M knows that Hitler, together with Tojo, broke the ice for the black man in the 1940s when Pearl Harbor was bombed. The UAW used devious means to forestall action. The brothers at the Hamtramck Assembly tried to effect some meaningful change in Local 3 by taking an active role in membership meetings. At one meeting held last Sunday in August, the brothers packed in Union Hall. One of D.R.U.M's earliest demands was the 7 fired workers from their jobs as a result of a walkout on May 2, 1968, be reinstated. Under pressure, the union got 5 of the 7 rehired. The other 2 could not qualify to be reinstated, the union claimed, because of some technicality. The fact was, they were not reinstated because they were alleged leaders of D.R.U.M. Since they could not be rehired, the brothers at the meeting motioned they put in a union payroll. A vote was taken and a motion was passed. The union bureaucrats invalidated the motion, claiming that all the present in Union Hall were not UAW members. Some of the workers had their wives with them. They then got into some preliminary bullshit concerning the Robert Rules of Order and what constitutes a quorum. Nothing concrete resulted from the merger, as it was rather ridiculous and a bogus D.R.U.M had no following. One member of the Detroit D.R.U.M was quite a professional employee who claimed that he was fired from the company. It was later learned that this person was on paid leave of absence and is now back with the company. After several meetings with the Detroit D.R.U.M, the original D.R.U.M broke off relations. One of the reasons Detroit D.R.U.M said they formed was because they thought the original D.R.U.M leadership was incompetent and needed direction. They pointed to the fact that D.R.U.M had no legal recognition. They also criticized D.R.U.M method of organizing and the way they subsequently employed their organizing methods. One of the reasons they did, which D.R.U.M warned them was incorrect, was distributing membership envelopes, which could be returned by mail with a membership fee. The D.R.U.M members knew that the black workers do not respond to envelopes, and return envelopes proved us right. Out of thousands of envelopes passed out, there were only 3 returns, and 2 of those didn't have the membership fee. The next thing they tried to do was to set up classes to teach them the black workers unionism using UAW organizing manuals. That flopped because the black workers were going on a long, drawn-out classroom thing and humping for capitalists all day. After their brilliant methods failed, they were simply back to doing what they mainly were doing, nothing. But D.R.U.M learned a lesson from this experience. In order not to co-op or be misrepresented, it had to move and to formalize its structure and tighten up the organization. Originally in May, D.R.U.M consisted of 8 Chrysler workers who consisted of an editorial board, which met formally every Sunday. In September, D.R.U.M had developed into a fairly large organization whose form was for the most part amorphous. In the middle of September, D.R.U.M submitted to its constitution and theoretical structure for acceptance at general meetings. Both the constitution and the structure was accepted unanimously. Note, see the constitution and structure for details. The conversation of structure. During the following weeks, the task of D.R.U.M was consolidated into the structure. The various units of the structure first had to be filled with workers who was committed progressively to change in factories. Second, it had to be functional. This is imperative since the cornerstone of D.R.U.M is unit structure. Now that D.R.U.M had formally structured, it was much easier to recruit members. When members expressed interest in D.R.U.M, they could refer to a person in charge of membership who would run down what D.R.U.M was all about and how he could become part of it. Also, to become part of a functional member almost immediately upon joining and serving in some capacity in the union structure and his department. Commitment increased, noticeably short after the structure had been established, and likewise the membership. D.R.U.M enters union politics. A strategy question arose over whether or not we should participate in union politics. This question itself was very concrete and thrust itself upon us unexpectedly. The reason being the sudden death of a trustee at Local 3, which left a vacant post, which compelled the union to call a special election. D.R.U.M was in a quandary. The arguments against participation in union politics was that we were resolutely opposed to the UAW, therefore we didn't want to appear to be compromising by working with it. Further, there was an unlikelihood of opportunism arising, and finally some members of D.R.U.M were reluctant to engage in the campaign, which they felt they could not win. The argument for involvement in the election of a trustee was the election would serve to polarize the real leadership of D.R.U.M. In addition to that, most members, and the most important thing, was not winning the election, but the demonstration of D.R.U.M power and black solidarity. The campaign would serve as an excellent means of rising in the conscience of the workers and strengthening its membership drive. The pro-argument prevailed, and D.R.U.M launched its campaign in a 13th issue of D.R.U.M newsletter, and the position of D.R.U.M concerning the election was printed as follows. Due to the death of an employee and trustee at Local 3, there will be a special election soon. We are all the witness to the last election, and we must not fall in some political trick that we did before. The time and the date of the election is not set at the time, but the time is now to prepare ourselves for the coming election. Political pirates, black and white, will be at their best to show you why the rank and file should vote for their candidate. D.R.U.M feels the election is very important. Not only to that, but to the pivotal position, but it will be beginning to complete a political takeover of Dodge Local 3. Therefore, D.R.U.M is presenting a platform that must be upheld. This platform is 1. The complete accountability to the black majority of its entire membership. 2. All union decisions will coincide directly with the wishes of that majority. 3. Advocating a revolutionary change in the UAW, including a referendum vote and revived grievance procedures. 4. A public announcement of the UAW, the announcement of the racial practices within the UAW, Hamtramck Assembly, and the entire community. 5. A refusal to be dictated to by the international staff of the UAW. 6. The total involvement of policy by the workers as opposed to the dictatorship by the executive board. Now we're going to hold it right here. We're going to stop this right here, and we're going to bring up more in a part 2. Now, there was a part I skimmed over I kind of missed that I'm going to reread right quick. It says the Black Power Group tries to usurp power. In late August, it says a black group tries to usurp power. So a black group had to come. That's why they had to form another drum. So, we're going to get to the back note of that right quick. In late August, a black organization made an abortive attempt to usurp D.R.U.M. First, they moved legally by filing corporation papers and adopting the name D.R.U.M., which stood for Detroit Revolutionary Movement. After that, they called a meeting with the leaders of D.R.U.M. for to start the stated purpose of merging D.R.U.M. with the bogus D.R.U.M. The original D.R.U.M. members did not like the idea of another group adopting this name because it would lead to confusion. Secondly, the idea of a merger was rather ridiculous since the bogus D.R.U.M. had no following. And this is how they try to usurp and try to jump in front of things, you know what I'm saying? And they were smart about that. Malcolm X talks about that in the 1963 March on Washington, how that wasn't a real March on Washington. It was going to be something different than that. But Kennedy, being the sly fox that he is, and that's using Malcolm X's words, he said, well, I'm going to jump in front of you. I'm going to make you the head of it. And then I'm going to put all these liberal other people in front of you, these white folks, and, like they talked about in the area, you heard about Walter Reuther, put the union to put all people like that in there, you know what I'm saying, to make it water it down. And the people of D.R.U.M. recognized that, and they said, no, we're not going for that, you know what I'm saying. So they knocked that little black group off. Anyway, we don't get more into this D.R.U.M., you know what I'm saying, more to D.R.U.M., this group, which is not really popularized through history, and you know what I'm saying, but we're going to talk more about them, which is D.R.U.M., the vanguard of the Black Revolution, Dodge Revolutionary Movement, and it's the history part of it. So we'll get to part 2 a little bit after this. So, hope you enjoy. Sign up for the channel, and peace. Sign up for the channel, and peace, man. And peace and love. We keep on spending Black history like this all day, every day. Peace.